Hey BookTube. I have actually finished a couple of books, which is very exciting. Before I get started on reviews, though, I wanted to be clear about how I was going to do reviews. I haven't had any real experience with reviewing before, so I wanted to learn more about that and be clear about that. So I'm still looking into how to do reviews. One thing I did find through, I was listening to a video by How to Train Your Gavin, and he referenced his system, which he took from Book Roast. I will put a link to her video up here and in the description and also at the end, because that's essentially what I'm basing all of this on, and that's the CAWPILE system. Each letter in CAWPILE has an attribute, and that attribute gets a score from 1 to 10, or 0 to 10. And like 1 through 3 is like really bad, and like 10 is really good, or 10 is excellent, and like 7 to 9 is really good. And so you can kind of first get kind of a gut as to like which chunk it's in, and then whether it's on the low end or the high end of that chunk. I approached her about how she does nonfiction, because the system is very fiction focused, and she agreed that it is designed for fiction, but that the same underlying principles could apply to nonfiction if you just had your own categories and so forth. So, and also she has an amazing spreadsheet that you can put all of that into, and then once you've put all of the data in, you can actually get statistics on another sheet, and it just compiles all of that for you. So I really wanted just to use the system that she'd put so much work into. So what I did was I took all of the letters and then remapped them for other things to make it more what I want to review. So for the fiction, most of it is the same. So hers is character, atmosphere, writing style, plot, intrigue, logic, and enjoyment. And the two adjustments I'm making for fiction is, instead of intrigue, which I feel like for me intrigue is kind of between the plot and the enjoyment part. I'm changing intrigue to impact, so like what impact it had on me, or what impact I would expect it to have on its intended audience. And then in addition to enjoyment, I also put engagement. So if it engages me but I didn't really enjoy it, some things aren't meant to be enjoyed. Some things are meant to be experienced but not necessarily enjoyed, and so like it has to engage me, but it doesn't necessarily have to be an enjoyable experience. So that's fiction. It's basically the same as hers, just a couple of little differences. And then for nonfiction, I have like the context. Does the author provide the contextual pieces necessary, and just generally the content? And then for A, I have academic source. So I want it to really earn my trust that this is quality work that I could reference and be considered like reliable. And then for P, instead of plot, I have perspective. So for perspective, I want the author to know what their perspective is and to be honest about it. I want it to be clear that they understand their biases and that they are trying to take that knowledge into account. I also might put whether I feel like that perspective is valid or justified through the way that they've gone about it. That might also filter into perspective. Impact, like I said before, and engagement, enjoyment. Yeah, that's how I'm going to do nonfiction. I don't know. I think that it will lead to better ratings than just like trying to gut decide whether something is 3 or 4 or 5 stars. That's another thing that the spreadsheet does, is it has a system of like tabulating all of that, adding it all up, and then it's actually got a rating system that transfers it from the CAWPILE score to the star point score. So that I think is great, and I think it's going to really do a good job of setting up a system that will remain more stable over the course of my reading on BookTube. All right, let me know what you think about this. Go check out that video. I will be on here again before too long with some reviews. I finished Genius, and I had pronounced the author's name incorrectly, so I'm going to look that up and use it correctly in my video with that review. And then I also finished White Rage by Carol Anderson, which I'm doing as part of the Blackout Buddy Read, and I will include a link to that, the buddy read, in the description and the end card as well. I will see you soon.